everyone. Today I'm looking at the New King James Classic Verse-by-Verse Center Column Reference Bible from Thomas Nelson. This one is a Bible that I was not actually expecting to like as much because I'm not a center column reference person, but after examining this one, I have a different opinion, I should say. So this one is the gray Leathersoft. Just comes in a single piece slipcase from the front. And then there's a lot of information on this one, but the most applicable will be this does have the full 72,000 cross-references, red letter, concordance, and then your 10-point comfort print. It retails for $59.99, so basically $60. And then it is in the gray. So I'm really liking the gray colors. Normally, I've been a brown or black kind of Bible color preference, but this one is very beautiful. After I got a Skylar slate gray Quintel, this type of color has been very appealing, and they do a really good job with their Leathersoft from Thomas Nelson. You can see there is perimeter stitching. The grain, which is actually impressive, you can call grain on an imitation leather, is rather pronounced. On your spine you don't have raised hubs, but you have signatures. So you have 4 of those, 2 with a design, 1 with Holy Bible, then your New King James and Thomas Nelson logo on this one. The back has ISBN, not a fan of that being printed on the back, and then more deep grain, so that's nice. The cover on this is rather stiff. You can see here, it's a really quite inflexible. However, that does make for a nice Bible to lay open because it does have some rigidity there. You have 2 decently long 3/8" double satin ribbons. You have blue and silver, which complement the silver gold page gilding. There is no art gilding on this one. You could add it, but there's none from the publisher. Just silver, very well designed with the gray cover. Then open this up. You have your end sheet, which is nice and thick, glued to your presentation page. Singular cardstock sheet. This is on glossy paper. Then you have Holy Bible, your opening page to this edition, and then your publication page. So this one is a 2019 cover or book typesetting. So this is just a line extension, as Thomas Nelson calls it, of a pre-existing Bible, just in a new cover. So you have the Thomas Nelson Comfort Print by 2K Denmark. This one is printed in China. This one is a 2021 publication of this cover option. Your table of contents, really like the red accents. Your preface to the New King James. You can see here, I'm right at Genesis. It's not laying flat yet, but I think with some use it will. The cover is very heavy, so it will lay flat eventually. So here's your interior. You have book introductions for each book of the Bible. They're not very large, but they are sufficient to give you the general information. They are separated from the text by a line with a design, and then your book intros are in red, chapter and verse numbers are in red, as well as your subject headings and the initial cross-references in your center column references. Now you can see here, this is a page, while I'm at it, this is the page that has an example of when you run out of room in the center column for the references, they carry over into the right-hand column. I'm not sure on this one if they also, so they carry over into the right-hand column on every page that there are extra references. So on the left page, they don't go into the left, they still go into the right. As I pointed out at the beginning, you do have your 10-point font. This is very clear. New King James is my favorite comfort print from Thomas Nelson. Verse numbers are outset from the text sufficiently to create enough room to see them. I do appreciate that. And as well, the verse numbers are the same size as the text, which again is very helpful in finding your location. I'll get to a point where I can just leave this open. There we go. You can kind of see that. If there are not enough references to fill the whole page, you can easily tell which references go where, because the top column of references are for the left side of the page, the bottom half are for the right side of the page. So this one will start with verse 23, which is, or chapter 23, there's verse 5, which is here, but then it goes through here. So generally, bottom is right, top is left. And that will be the same even if the references carry all the way through the page. And as I said at the beginning, center column references are not my preferred. I'm not sure why, I just don't like the look, even though this is very classic of a Bible. But the way they did this one was so clean. So you can see here, there's a lot of space on the page, despite it being rather crowded with information. The text is the 10-point, which is very large for a general size Bible. It's not considered technically a large print, although compared to most other translations, it is in the mid to large range. You have a decent amount of margin space, not a lot, but enough that you could jot a couple things down if you wanted to. There is enough space between the references and the text itself. That is the biggest thing that I noticed. There's plenty of room between references and text, and it's not crowded. So while the main problem I have with most other translations that have a center column reference is gets really crowded in there because of how the text size and the reference size, and the reference size on this is probably around a 6-point. You can see here it is red letter. I didn't notice too much inconsistency in red letter, so that's nice. Again, you can see that center column reference. This one is taking up more of the page. And as far as paragraphs, I'm uncertain to what system they used. At first, it was looking like there were bolded numbers, but if they are, they're very inconsistent. So I'm not sure that there is paragraph markers in this text other than your subject headings that'll break it up. So you can see this one carries over. This is full. So I'm not sure about the paragraph headings or markers in this edition. So going all the way to the end, you have a concordance. I think this is, so you actually have about 164 pages of concordance. This is a 3-column concordance. I'm not sure the text size, but it is very large. Really easy to read. Really like what they did here. This one is just the concordance. It's not a dictionary concordance. And then your main letters are in red, marking each section, and then the word at the top that ends the page and starts the page is in red. And I think that's all for your helps in the back. Then you do have 8 pages of Thomas Nelson maps, your note regarding the type. They're typical maps. They're on glossy paper, but they're not super thick, so they don't contribute much to the stiffness of the Bible itself. So that's the general look at the interior. I'll do one comparison here. Well, a couple. So first one is the size. This is the large print reference McLaren series that came out last year as well. And this size of Bible, that this one is 9 1/4 by 6 1/4 by roughly 1 3/8 inches wide or thick. So that is a size that is pretty common in the last round of Bibles that Thomas Nelson published. So you can see here, this was the McLaren, pretty much the same footprint. And I'm not complaining about that. I really enjoyed this size for a mid-sized to technically a large Bible. This is a very nice size to have. It's not too big and it fits in most Bible cases. So really liking the size that they're doing with this. Do a couple comparisons here with interiors. So this is the Classic Reference New American Standard that came out last year. And I do have a video up on this. And you can see kind of what I was saying here. This one doesn't have quite as much, at least visually. It is a smaller text. I think this is around an 8 to 9 point type. And then the references are much smaller. So you can kind of see, and I'll give that to it. This is a smaller Bible a little bit. So it is going to be slightly different. But to my eyes, this is just a little bit more crowded versus you can kind of see this is a poetic setting, but you can just see the wide open space on this one versus the more tight knit. And this one also didn't have as much gutter space. Something I like to test for gutter space is the ribbon. So with these 3/8 inch ribbons, you can see how it's already touching whatever text is on the page, where this one, you still got lots of room here. So that's kind of a quick judge that I will give for gutter space on Bibles. And then last one, if you did watch my video on the New American Standard, I did compare this one. This is the ESV Classic Reference Bible. This one is even more crowded, to me anyway. You can kind of see there. Again, it is a smaller Bible, so it's not exactly apples to apples as far as text size goes. But you can see it's just a little bit more crowded, how close the page or the verse numbers are to the cross references. It can get confusing, whereas you have plenty of room in this one between those to differentiate between what is what. So again, it's kind of going to depend on the size of Bible that you have, but overall they did a great job with laying this out in a very open setting to keep everything separate but close enough that you can easily reference it all. I'm not sure of the GSM on this paper, but I'm thinking it's around a 36, and it is an off-white paper, which was something I noticed right off, as well as I believe this is actually coated as well. So this is a nice paper for a Bible, and that's the other thing. Just looking at it, you can see that it's a little bit different colored. I'll pull in that McLaren again. You can see it's just a little bit more, the McLaren's a little bit more white. You can just see kind of the pale white to the verse by verse. And it just has a very nice, calm color to it. Makes it very easy for reading. I'm not always partial to white or cream color paper. It kind of depends on the Bible. But this one does lay out very nicely, and that coated paper is really easy to turn. Now this one does come in a genuine leather option, which does have blue page dye instead of the silver art gilding. So that one does also have a gray cover and then the blue and silver ribbons. So again, there's that blue and silver contrast, which I think is a very wise choice if you're going to go with a gray Bible. So there you have it. That is the verse by verse center column reference Bible from Thomas Nelson in the New King James Version.